Gosh, it's good to be outside on a lovely spring day like today. Hi, and welcome to the latest video in which we follow the Bourne Stream from source to sea. Behind the camera and doing lots of techie stuff is my son Ross. Now you might think that by me following this here dribble of water for several miles I've run out of ideas, but the name of the town comes from this stream, and by following it we're actually taking a journey through history. Let's go back to 1805 when the whole area was heathland. The stream has two main branches. The lower one is marked as Bourne Bottom, the area we know as Bourne Valley today. The source is just below Branksome Cemetery, but nowadays there's nothing to see until it comes out in Bournemouth Gardens. The upper branch is marked as Knighton Bottom, and it's this branch we'll be following to Coy Pond and then through the gardens to Bournemouth seafront. Our journey starts at Ringwood Road under the Alderney roundabout. The spring is a combination of water from the higher ground round the waterworks, road runoff and a permanent discharge from the waterworks. The stream makes its way into the Weald via this culvert next to Ringwood Road. There are various ponds and bits of water that drain into the stream. It's not always obvious which way it flows, so I was going to go out and play poo sticks to see. But there's an easier way. Topographic maps. Red and orange represents high ground and blue-green is low. So the land ridges are Wallisdown Road, Corbier Avenue / Bloxworth Road, Herbert Avenue and Ashley Road. Any rain falling north of Corbier Avenue / Bloxworth Road drains into the branch that we'll be following. Rain falling south of this drains into the Bourne Valley southern branch that joins at Coy Pond. The first section of the route takes us from Alderney roundabout along St Brelades Avenue and over the heathland to Alder Road. Right, let's go. Hills. I've not done hills for a while. It's a push-it job. We've just gone down St Brelades Avenue and we're going on to Bourne Valley proper. In an earlier film, I challenged myself to ride between Bournemouth Pier and the Twin Sails Bridge using mostly open spaces and heathland. Spoiler alert, it's more possible than you might think. This time I'm concentrating on just the Bourne Stream. Hopefully you'll find the obscure stuff I dig up interesting, and for me, riding it this way is mostly downhill. You must be fed up with cyclists. Fun fact, some 70% of the Bourne Stream isn't in Bournemouth at all. It's in Poole. So it's worth having a quick look at Bourne Valley. This is absolutely glorious. Hear the birds tweeting away. A common theme in this film is local landowners. The first one I'd like to introduce you to is the Canford estate, who I've looked at in a couple of my other films. In 1571 the estate was huge, but over the years bits have been sold off, so it's a lot smaller nowadays. The estate's eastern boundary was the Hampshire-Dorset border, which at one point was the dividing line between two Iron Age tribes, the Celtic Durotriges in Dorset and Anglo-Saxon Belgae in Hampshire. And that's where we were the other day to film the intro. Let's go have a look. The stream flows through two towns, absorbing a lot of road runoff. Long sections are enclosed in concrete banks, making the stream fast flowing. By the time it gets to its end point here, it's quite polluted. One solution would be to extend the outflow pipe. That would be expensive and the water entering the sea would still be polluted. Solution 2 I rather like. Adding natural features along the stream to help nature take its course. Pollutants naturally stick to floating sediment. Slowing the stream down allows the sediment to settle and the pollutants get broken down and naturally reabsorbed. At Alderney it exits a culvert and goes straight into this reedy pond. 100 metres downstream is another series of reed beds for it to make its way through. Bourne Valley Park starts at Herbert Avenue and runs alongside Evering Avenue. It's been turned from a vandalised wasteland to a public space with a play area and wildlife habitat. Here by Alder Road this reedy pond was added and the stream diverted into it. We'll see some more man-made reed beds later. After crossing Wallisdown Road, the next section takes us towards Talbot Heath. We cross from the Canford Manor estate onto lands owned in later years by the Talbot sisters. I was born about half a mile from here, so knew about the Talbot sisters' philanthropy. In this film I wanted to explore the question, where did the money come from? That turned out to be a very good question, and a story I've been looking forward to telling. The Talbots are the descendants of one John Talbot. He was the 7th Baron Talbot and the 1st Earl of Shrewsbury. The Earls of Shrewsbury is an interesting topic, but not for today. Suffice to say, they weren't poor. It all starts with the purchase of 2 North London farms by Charles Talbot in 1775. Portobello and Nottingbarns farms were at the time in the middle of nowhere. His son George inherited the farms with planning blight. A reservoir was planned, plus the Great Western Railway had just steamed through the northern edge of the farms. George had 2 daughters, Georgina and Mary Ann. The family alternated between their Grosvenor Square pied-à-terre and Bournemouth, moving here permanently with a vision to help the town's poor. They immediately started buying land off of the Camford estate for farming and set about building cottages for the poor. Each cottage had an acre of land, a well and a pigsty. They also built almshouses and a village school with free attendance. The reservoir plan was dropped, but George died, so the girls tried to sell the land for development. They couldn't sell it at the asking price, so they sat back and waited. When the Hammersmith and City line was built on their land, the value jumped, so they sold bits of land to various developers, often playing one off against the other to up the price. As well as Talbot Village, they also founded Winton, named after a cousin who had the title of 1st Earl of Winton. It was a small rectangle of houses with a farm opposite. Winton was over the county border, and the guy they purchased the land from was landowner number 2, James Harris, 3rd Earl of Malmesbury / Viscount Fitzharris. He had the liberty of Westover, a corner of Christchurch bounded by the sea and the River Stour. His titles live on in local road names, with Fitzharris Avenue and Malmesbury Park Road being named after him. Some of you may remember Talbot cars. In 1902, Charles Chetwynd Talbot went into partnership with Clement Bayard of France to build their cars in the UK with the brand name of Clement Talbot. The factory was built on Talbot land, just south of the Great Western Line. They soon started producing their own range using the name Talbot. In later years, the company became parts of the Rootes Group, then Chrysler and finally Peugeot. The name Sunbeam features throughout the years. After car production stopped, the factory was used as a TV studio. It's now a studio/event space known as Sunbeam Studios. What used to be Portobello and Nottingbarns farms is now the area of Ladbroke Grove, North Kensington, Portobello Road, the northern part of Notting Hill, Westbourne Park and a chunk of Bayswater. In Talbot Village, most of the original cottages remain, and Bournemouth universities are built on what was once Talbot Village Farm. Apart from where did the money come from, the other big question is why didn't they marry? Something we'll never know, but my guess is that they were both very financially savvy and had a purpose. Had they married, all of their property and money became the property of the husband. Maybe they didn't fancy that idea much. The Married Women's Property Act came in 1870, the year Georgina died, giving women some right over what was theirs in the first place. So the stream is down towards our right, but I'm not going to go that way. Quick turnabout. And there's a reason. Some of you may remember the Bourne-Bottom Relief Road. It was meant to be coming right through here. I'm standing on the central reservation. Way back in the 1980s, it was planned to have a dual carriageway from Alderney roundabout, blasting right through where the stream is to Alder Road, then over the heath to Boundary Road. From there it was back over the heath, going over the disused railway bridge over Bourne Valley, through old railway sidings and Princess Road to join up with the A338 spur road at County Gates. There was a lot of local opposition, so the plan was dropped, and it's now a protected SSSI. Whilst I'm glad it never happened, as a cyclist I have to say that the council's alternative improvements for Wallace Down Road are frankly insane. Imagine a dual carriageway coming through here. But there's a new battle. Despite this area being a protected SSSI and Highmoor Farm being the last urban farm in the area, guess what? A private hospital wants to send in the bulldozers and concrete it over in the name of profit. There's a lot of local action and several petitions running I'd urge people to sign. We already have too much traffic on that road and a barking mad road scheme to contend with. If you really must build it at all, do it on a brownfield site, somewhere with better roads.
Let's continue our journey over Talbot Heath to Coy Pond, with a quick stop where the stream goes under the railway line and Wren Crescent.
So I've done the talkie to camera bit, and now we can concentrate on running through this rather beautiful area of woods. Sorry. No worries, thank you. There we go, we've caught up with the stream again, and what looks to me like a bit of a reed bed. Right here, let's carry on a bit. And so here is where the stream goes under the railway line. It should come out of Coy Pond Road, and now it's a hard bit. I don't like hills. There's actually quite a lot of trails across the heath. I picked the one which was nearest the stream, but it's actually a nature reserve. All sorts of ground nesting birds apparently, so don't fly your drone. So from here you can go over the upper road over the heathland. I think that goes to Bournemouth somewhere. That's where we've just come, and we're going over the railway line towards Coy Pond. To the right we've got the railway line, and we're just coming up to Coy Pond, if I can remember where it is. I think it's there. Okay, no cycling, so I'm going to behave. And this point is Coy Pond, and this is where the ducks on the other side of the railway comes out.
The name Coy Pond comes from Decoy Pond. They were breeding ponds with a cage structure to capture the ducks. Some of them were very elaborate, such as a pentagonal hail decoy pond in Widnes, Cheshire. The ducks either wandered into the cages by themselves or were nudged in by trained dogs. The advantage is that the meat wasn't peppered with poisonous lead shot, and the ducks could be selected with the rest put back in the pond.
So we've reached Bournemouth Gardens. This is slightly not the way we want to go, but there's a reason for this. Okay.
So the reason we're here is that this is the point where the Bourne Valley stream appears. Ahead of us is the railway line, and over the other side of it is what used to be the Bourne Valley Gasworks. The culvert is now barricaded, but a few years back a group of urban explorers entered, and what they found is fascinating. The stream has been in a culvert for over a mile at this point, and as you can see it's pretty polluted. For many years it had concrete sides, and there weren't gardens here but allotments. Nowadays all the concrete and allotments are gone, giving us a reed bed and floodplain. It's another feature added to slow the stream down and let the pollution be naturally absorbed. However, the sediment has to be occasionally dug out to keep the reed bed in good condition for it to do its work.
And back to Coy Pond. I think we need to go to the other side. And how's this for tranquility on a lovely spring day? Loving the old Japanese style bridge. Clearly a good choice for photographers.
We're approaching the border between Poole and Bournemouth, or if you're an older person, between Celts and Anglo-Saxons. Some years ago we were driving home, and one of the signs had been defaced, so from that day forward our family refers to the town as Rough Poo.
So by crossing this road, we're crossing between the borough of Rough Poo and Bournemouth. You have to be careful in Bournemouth Gardens. This is the cycling lane and the other one is pedestrians only. But we might cross the road and do some walking. I think that's walking. I'm not going to cycle along here, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to fall off. And there you go, Bourne Stream, or is it Bourne Marsh?
Just after Prince of Wales Road we find this little oddity. Despite its Gothic styling and being home to a colony of bats, we aren't looking at Mary Shelley's inspiration for Frankenstein. She died before it was built. It's a water tower that ran a fountain in the gardens. It was built in 1885 and the power to pump the water up was provided by a water wheel in the stream. I'm not sure when the fountain was demolished, but it's still shown on the 1940 Ordnance Survey map. The wheel was removed in the war, but the weir remains. The council used it as tool storage and a colony of bats made it their home. Frankenstein's creator Mary Shelley is buried in St Peter's Church, Bournemouth.
10 years, there ain't nobody got time for that. Let's do this. Right, let's go back on the right side then.
Continuing the landowner theme, I'd like to introduce you to the Taps family. This is their modest house in Hinton Admiral. Baronets, stinking rich and well connected. The second baronet changed his surname to Taps Jarvis, and our guy, George, the third baronet, changed his surname to Taps Jarvis Merrick. He later dropped most of that mouthful and became known as just Sir George Merrick. His relevance to this story is that he founded Bournemouth Gardens and will be riding through them for the remainder of the journey. He built himself an estate on the east side of the Bourne Stream, and as part of it he had a private garden known as the Westover Pleasure Grounds laid out. In 1859 he leased the gardens to the town for 21 years, but before the lease expired he allowed the entire Bourne Valley from the sea to the pool boundary to be used as public gardens. A competition was held to design the lower part of the gardens, which was won by a Mr. Tree, and slowly the gardens were transformed into the gardens we know today. As we've already seen, much of the stream is marshy, this bit being no exception. To make it less marshy, a lot of broken pottery from the local potteries was dumped here to improve drainage, and the tennis courts were built in 1903.
Well, I'm going to walk along this bit because it's lovely. And the Bourne Stream looks like a real stream at this point.
This pile of stone is a memorial to the town's soldiers who died in the First War, built in 1921. It now commemorates all local soldiers who died in conflict and is Grade 2 listed. So in crossing Bournemouth Square we enter the lower gardens, the private one originally built by our friend George Merrick.
Well, who knows what the cycling rules are here? Could be anything. Oh, no, we can cycle along here. I remember when this used to be all bus station. Well, let's do some walking, because it's glorious.
The last section of our journey is a short walk through the lower gardens and pier approach. The route we followed is just under 4.5 miles of easy walking or cycling. Most of my films are about Poole, Bournemouth and surrounding areas, so please have a look at the other films I've made, and if you enjoyed this film, please click subscribe.